is Valley News Live at 6.
Some in the valley are on edge tonight as plans for a White Lives Matter peaceful protest near Fargo City Hall have surfaced. Several other cities across the U.S. are preparing for similar marches taking place on April 11th at 1 p.m., which some reports state as being coordinated by extremists online.
The Fargo rally has now caused the local Black Lives Matter chapter and other community members to plan a counter-protest Sunday afternoon, saying racism isn't welcome in the Red River Valley. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley spoke with those in the community and Fargo police today. She has our story.
This is the poster found on downtown Fargo streets and one that's been floating around online for weeks, encouraging those participating in this weekend's White Lives Matter peaceful protest to wear a mask not due to COVID-19, but for anonymity purposes.
The fact that they're saying like, oh, it's so nobody knows who we are, like I feel like that's the problem. I mean, I feel like they know that they're doing something wrong. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to be anonymous. If they were proud of it, they should show who they are.
It made me think of the 1940s and 50s when they used white sheets and cut holes in them.
Despite reaching out to potential leaders and participants, Valley News Live was unable to reach anyone organizing or involved in this weekend's march. And Fargo police say so far they haven't been able to either, but say they are trying. Both Fossey and Dixon say they'll be counter-protesting on Sunday.
We just need to let these folks know that this is not tolerated.
I just feel like white people have never been oppressed, so I feel like it's a pointless rally to have. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to prove.
It's always a safety concern that we might have someone that might not be in their right mind or might want to see this turn into a race battle or race war. But we're coming in peace.
Dixon says the local Black Lives Matter chapter will make sure counter-protesters are as safe as possible and say if you're going to join, no violence or aggression will be tolerated. In Fargo, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Now, Fargo police say the department respects every person's right to peacefully assemble and protest and is prepared to work collaboratively with the community to keep residents safe. They say at this time there will not be a police presence or extra officers patrolling the area on Sunday.
Almost a dozen people were arrested for trespassing. The incident happened around 7 this morning at 1129 Industrial Park Drive, southeast in Bemidji. Police got a call about a number of people who chained themselves to a fence. Officers tried to get them to leave, but the 11 who were arrested stayed. They were taken to the Beltrami County Jail.
While most of our viewing area is soaked by now, there is parts of it that are still dry. In fact, I took a call from a viewer who said, "Don't complain about the rain. We haven't had any and could use it." Well, let's check in with Nathan to find out who's getting wet right now. Nathan?
Yeah, Mike, that's exactly right. A lot of folks definitely need this moisture, and we're still seeing some occurring in our Minnesota neighborhoods, which are the same spots that have been getting quite a bit of that rainfall for the past couple of days, and that's where the clouds are hanging on the most as well. You can see a few blips of green still showing up on the radar there in our Minnesota neighborhoods, but this whole system is slowly making its way eastward and is bringing those showers and those clouds with them. A closer look in here near the Wahpeton area, just between, say, Wahpeton and Fergus Falls. Seeing still some green there, but the showers that were around today have really fizzled in the past couple of hours. Here's the updated drought conditions. These were released this morning. You can see the extreme drought conditions. That red there has extended now into the extreme northern part of the Red River Valley, and the severe, that kind of brown, includes Grand Forks and Fargo at this time. And we have seen some improvement across our Minnesota neighborhoods as that rainfall has been ongoing for what seems like the better part of this week. But of course, Mike, things look good for the weekend, but I'm tracking that snowy system for the early part of next week, so we'll talk about all that in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Nathan.
Police are warning you about a high-risk sex offender in Fargo. Matthew Eagleman is homeless. He was convicted of gross sexual imposition in Ramsey County in 2002 and 1998 after victimizing several children. High-risk sex offenders are considered the most likely to reoffend.
Scammers are using the West Fargo Police Department's phone number to trick people into purchasing and sending gift card numbers. People are being told that they have warrants or owe money to the Drug Enforcement Administration as part of a drug investigation in other states. One resident lost $500. If you have any questions, call police at 701-433-5500.
Meanwhile, letters asking for donations are circulating in Breckenridge. The letter states that the money is going to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. While that is a real entity, Breckenridge police say they have not endorsed this campaign and didn't know about it until someone brought it to their attention. If you have questions about that letter, go ahead and call police.
In tonight's Legislative Watch, North Dakota's version of a Stand Your Ground bill is headed to the governor's desk for consideration. The Castle Doctrine allows deadly force as a first line of defense in a person's home. This bill expands those defense rights to other property, including a vehicle or motorhome. Opponents are worried that this will open the door for a spike in domestic violence.
North Dakota lawmakers passed a bill aimed at reducing prescription drug costs within state borders. If signed by the governor, the legislative study would consider using price referencing, where a state panel looks at the prices for similar drugs in different areas and then applies an average for the consumer. Much of the focus was on Canadian drug prices and even considering opening the door for Canadian drug imports. But something like that requires a unique trade relationship between Canada and one state.
They pay sometimes as little as 30% of what we pay for the same drug. And you begin to wonder why that is and what we could do to take advantage of some of that.
The bill originally called for the state to establish an actual program applying these methods, but was later amended to study the economic effects it would have on the industry.
A major announcement today on progress of the Fargo-Moorhead Flood Diversion Project. State and federal officials saying a $67 million bid was awarded to industrial builders of West Fargo to raise a portion of Interstate 29 out of the floodplain. This 4-mile project will extend from the Hickson Interchange to north of the Davenport-Oxbow Interchange. Minnesota U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar says seeing the devastation of the floods firsthand showed her why it's so important for cities on both sides of the river to work together to stop it.
It's just as the waters fall and rise, our two communities fall and rise together. You can't simply say, well, Fargo and West Fargo, we're over here in Minnesota, so we'll see what happens to them. When you have tens of thousands of people going back and forth, living and working in these communities, we are one region.
The FM Flood Control Project includes federal, state, and local components, which is called a 3P project.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has decided to allow the Dakota Access Pipeline to continue operations while an environmental impact statement is completed. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum had urged the Corps to do so during the review, saying that shutting down the pipeline wasn't in the best interest of the country.
If he rules to shut this thing down, that would indicate that even though you have a legally permitted project that's been operating safely, then based on political pressure or campaign promises, then the thing can be shut down after it's operating. How will anybody ever raise any capital to solve America's infrastructure problems going forward if they think that after I'm already operating as a legal business, I could be shut down by a court order?
And operating.
A judge delayed a decision on whether the Dakota Access oil pipeline should be shut down while the environmental review is done. Lawyers for the pipeline asked for more time to outline recent changes in the economy.
In your vaccine coverage tonight, we begin with walk-ins will be accepted at an upcoming vaccine clinic tomorrow, which is sponsored by Essentia. It'll be held at the St. Mary's Detroit Lakes facility. You can get a shot from 8:30 in the morning to 12:30 p.m.
NDSU students, faculty, and staff will soon have a chance to get a vaccine shot. A clinic is scheduled for Wednesday from 8 in the morning until 5 at night at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex. For information on how to sign up for an appointment, log on to our website, valleynewslive.com.
Later on Valley News Live at 6, Testimony Today points out that George Floyd's cause of death was not what the defense has been trying to establish.
And good news is those wind gusts in Fargo will be easing off as we head through the rest of our Friday evening. You see those wind gusts around 15 miles per hour by the time we get to midnight tonight. And then temperatures not too bad either, staying in the 40s through that midnight hour in Fargo. I do expect a clearing of the skies gradually as we continue through the rest of this Friday evening. I'll break down that weekend forecast next.